great because they will support you in those complicated times when adults will tell you, no, the world is like this, you have to study, you have to do this in this certain way. Well, sometimes what happens is that adults ask you to do things that we didn't even want to do in the past. And this is complicated because when you are in the government, for example, what can you say about public transport if you are using your card? What can you say about public education if you go to private, your daughters go to private school? What can you say about public health if you are willing to pay for a private insurance? So you need to talk to your peers. And what Fontana Rosa said, what am I expecting from my daughters? And that summarizes what we had to do. Fontana Rosa said, I hope that when their friends see her, they are happy. They are happy to see her. And for me, that is very valuable and more valuable than books, actually. The last one. And then we go to the other 4 schools. Which of these emotions you experience more often? Pink, joy, green, anxiety or nervousness, light blue, those of you who are mostly sad, and in white, those that feel indifference. Pink, joy, gray, anxiety, blue, sadness, and white, indifference. 1, 2, 3. Okay. The youth director of General Pico de la Pampa, what do you see? I see pink, more joy. Okay, only pink. Choose a pink one. Over there. The one in gray. Please stand up. A round of applause for her. What is your name? Aisha of San Antonio de Padua School. Why did you choose joy? Because I'm very happy. I'm really happy of being here with my friends. San Antonio is my family and I truly love them. I've listened to you saying this in a lot of opportunities. I think that joy has to be the first thing that has to mobilize us and motivate us to do what we do with the others, right? Apart from the other emotions that we might feel. Let's hope not indifference, but anxiety and sadness that happens and due to several reasons, for school, for work, university, relationships, friends. I think that even though we may have those emotions, we feel happier, closer to one another, because this is what may define us and might actually help us live better, right? So I'm really happy to see that there were a lot of pink papers, and we might have to work on how to multiply this joy in other places. So let's go with the last four schools. We invite the last 4 schools. Please join us in the stage. A round of applause for you. The 4 last schools.
Adelante, adelante, adelante.
Permiso, bueno.
Okay, excuse me. Yeah. We will start. We are going to increase the pace. We're going to ask the speaker from Obras Salesianas San Antonio de Padua School to come. Then from Amparo de Maria, we're also giving them a round of applause from the Escuela Normal Superior. Also, please let's ask the representative to come forward. And the Garcia for school, please approach the stage. Okay, we'll come here with you. I don't know what happened here. They told me that I had to dance at the end, so let's see. But we need to do it all together, right? Let's start, okay. We're going to start with the first institution, Obras Salesianas San Antonio de Padua. Please introduce yourselves and tell me about this letter that you received. Nice to meet you. We are the San Antonio de Padua School. My name is Antonio Abran, and we had the letter of social cultural facts, which is related to the universal assignment per children. This was an assignment that was an allocation of money that started in 2019 that was provided to people, families in unfavorable situation, with no age limit for children with disability and with an age limit for other children. It's a great opportunity for families that maybe they won't have that support in the future. The possibility of putting a plate with food on the table. And we also want to say that this could be supported with other projects and other helps in school and etc. Okay, let's ask the team of advisors to come on up. Watch out there. Let's go to the center, please. Come to the center. Come to the center, please. How are you? Okay, we're going to have the challenge of this time. You need to tell us your project. Tell us the problem that you identified. Okay, you have the microphone. Okay, good morning. From our institution, we decided to talk about participatory democracy. We implemented a student center where everyone can participate with voice and vote regardless of the year of school. And we tried to re-implement it with the different secretaries, and this is aimed at our educational space to foster democratic consciousness, working with our teachers and the directors of the school, the authorities, and trying to have some community work. We want to have a space where we can learn and exercise our rights. My name is Ariano Liendo. I'm the president of the Student Center. Okay, a round of applause to him.
Nada, les vamos a contar un poco cómo fue el proyecto en los días que...
I'm going to tell you about the project, how were the days in which we were working on this. We implemented a student center. There were 4 different ballots, with each of them with different numbers, with president, vice president, and the different secretaries. There were a series of instances that were completed, and the lists were sent. They went through each and every class, and they proposed their benefits and proposals. They were able to communicate everything, and we had an election day in which there was a secret vote. They cast the children from 1st to 6th year. They cast their ballots, and the debate was done one day before the elections. Each of the ballots, the members of each ballot were able to communicate their proposals, and ballot number 226 was the first ballot from the 5th year that won in the school, and we won with 50.99% of votes. And a little bit of our proposals were to implement makeup classes, to change the spaces of for recreation, then having more sports tournaments. And now I'm going to give the floor to Angela, who was part of the student center last year, and she will tell you a little bit about what we are doing. And good morning. My name is Angela. I was part of the student center last year. There were no elections because we were the only ballot that was submitting. We don't think that this is okay. I think that we all have a right to vote and to be elected. That did not happen. We believe that there was no participation, no democracy last year. This year, there were 4 ballots in which we all had a right to vote. In the first, even if you were first year, second, third year. And I wanted to highlight that last year the student center was filled with 6th-year members, so most of the projects were rushed, and what you saw from the outside was that they wanted to do it as a way to improve their last year. The difference this year was that we actually had a participatory democracy. We were all part of elections, we all participated, and we were all in agreement in many things. That's what we want to mention as a student center, and that's what our group is introducing. Okay, something that you want to add? You have a video? You want to show the video, please?
Bueno, el video que vamos a ver ahora fue un poco de cómo fue.
This video were the elections.
Por favor, fuerte el aplauso. Increíble la representación gremial dentro de las escuelas. Muchas gracias por haberlo compartido.
Y también para cerrar, bueno, primero agradecer el espacio que nos están dando, que nos parece realmente muy importante. También nos gustó porque fuimos el primer cole, si no me equivoco, en el que probaron el proyecto. Entonces, nada, decirles que gracias. Y también de paso avisar que mañana en el colegio hacemos una fiesta que para nosotros es muy importante, de María Auxiliadora, en el cual... hoy. En el cual,
Ya.
En el cual están todos invitados si quieren, las puertas del colegio están abiertas, se va a servir chocolate, se pasea a la Virgen por el barrio para hacerle conmemoración y nada, sí, están las puertas abiertas para los que quieran ir.
Perfecto.
Muchísimas gracias.
Ahí estaremos, muchas gracias. Muchas gracias.
¿Qué proyectazos, hermano?
Gracias a los asesores que también subieron al escenario. Y ahora sí, pasamos a la siguiente, Lina.
Felicitaciones.
Siguiente.
Ahí va. Caigo en vivo.
I hope I don't fall on the stage. Okay, would you like to introduce yourself or read the letter? Hi, my name is Valentino Asandris. I'm from Amparo de Maria Institute, and I will talk about the crisis in 2001. As you know, it was a social, political, and economic crisis that we faced in 2001. The consequences of this can be seen up to this day. It was a period where we had 5 presidents in less than 2 weeks, and that was an unprecedented event. One of them fled on a helicopter, as you know well. And what do you feel when you read this letter? Well, of course, this led to the entire society of Argentina feel distant with politicians after this event, of course. And it is known as corralito in Spanish because there was a bank crisis where the government retained the accounts of every Argentinian, and Argentinians who wanted to take their amount of money from the bank, they could not do that, or it was in very small amounts, or if they had dollars, they were given pesos. And that created several problems in a lot of families at that time. Okay, now the project. And the advisors, please come to the stage. Please be careful. Welcome. You have a banner here, perfect. Okay. Can you please tell us about your project? What would happen if we said that we live in a democracy, but we don't exercise democracy in the most important place? Schools should be the seats for citizenship, and however, in Córdoba, they turn sterile territories for participations. They taught us what to do, and they don't teach us to question ourselves and have critical thinking. So we have no opportunities for participation. We found a specific problem: the limited training on democracy and political participation in our society. We live in a democracy, but that does not mean that we always engage in that. School should be a participation space, but sometimes has a vertical model without listening spaces, without active student centers, and without listening to the voices of students who are the protagonists of the schools. But why the schools sometimes feel so away from democratic life? There are a lot of answers. There are a lot of teachers that were not trained to teach about democracy, and the voice of the students is constantly underestimated. We can add to this a deep disconnection of politicians, of our view regarding politicians. We see politicians as very distant people or as taboo. Teachers avoid these topics on politics, but school becomes closer, more rigid, and talking about politics is a transgression, and human rights seem so far away. The consequences of this are alarming. People who go to vote without knowing what the political party represents. Students who do not know their rights. Citizens who do not know how to reach consensus, how to have debates or solve conflicts. And a community that replicates these models because they never lived during their education a truly democratic experience. This is why we propose a transformative idea organized by and for students, the Week of Student Democracy. The idea is for school to be an obedience space and become a participation space, a critical thinking space, and democratic life space. We want for democracy to stop being a theoretical approach and goes to the practice. This week includes activities such as debate and simulating elections. We learn from that and we practice that. Then artistic spaces where we can express our ideas and opinions on politics from a creative perspective with art shows, for example. Meetings with social representatives to connect with reality, because democracy is not a concept, it's something that you practice every day. And then with symbolic assemblies or meetings for the youth to be able to propose ideas and creating content digital content such as podcasts, for example, so that they can build their creative and critical thinking. And most of all, an entire community willing to listen to what the youth have to say. We don't want for this week to be an isolated event. We want it to be the start of a democratic, participative, and actual involvement of students. The school is the first place where we can learn about this. We need to train the youth who will become adults, trained in these topics, to train the new generations and to have a permanent change. And we want education to prepare us for the world, but also to transform it. Thank you. A round of applause for them. Thank you.
Pueden ir retirando, gracias.
Thank you so much. I will only say that I'm about to cry here. I feel so proud when I listen to them. Following one, please. Following institution. Escuela Normal Superior, Dr. Alejandro Carbo. What is the card that you got? Pandemics 2020.
Hello to everyone here. Thank you very much for listening to us. My name is Ricardo Cortés. I'm part of Escuela Normal Superior Alejandro Carbo. I just turned 17, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about the 2020 pandemic, that crisis that shook the foundations of the world. And we also lived it from an individual to a practical area where each part of the society felt a true shock, which is still generating demands because we are creating demands, we're asking for mental health in youths, and we started discussing things that were completely necessary to discuss since then. So that gave us a space to open a new debate, a debate that was done over which were going to be the new versions of education. We were locked in our beds with our cell phones, where many of the sixth years were not able to wear their year jackets, their graduation jackets. A lot of first years were not able to live our first experiences when we went into secondary school. And the student crisis there was always mentioned from the point of view of the parents, the institutions, the government. But did anyone ask that child who was lying in bed with the cell phone what was going on with them? No, and I wanted to stop here because this is just a hint that I could see to bring in our project so that we get really asked and we can do things from the youths. Let's call the team of advisors.
Bueno, se están organizando, vengan para acá.
Okay, they're organizing. Please come closer.
Vengan más acá, vengan más acá.
Vamos a esperar a que nos den el apoyo visual.
Let's wait for them to give us the visual support. Okay, perfect. My name is Ivy Cortez. We are the students of sixth year from social sciences. We have a lot of our classmates who helped us with this beautiful presentation that we have. And I'm going to let my classmate and my teammate to introduce herself. Hello. First of all, good morning. And we want to tell you that we want to take this project to several institutions, and we want to take it to all of the students so that all the voices are heard. Did you hear that? To be heard? No, there's nothing. That's the best sound that we know, the silence. The silence that is manifested in the classroom when one of our classmates wants to talk, but they have a knot in their throat because they have to think that they have to express themselves in a loud voice. The silence of the uncomfortability where something happens and nobody wants to talk. The silence as the absolute answer for every complaint that we make. But if we are sick and tired of receiving silence, Okay, we were taught to do this. We did not only receive silence, but we were taught to write without thinking, without being convinced. We were taught to raise our hands to talk. We were never taught what to do when we don't feel heard, when nobody listens to us. We were taught to underline what was already written, to have to memorize authors, dates, historical events, but we were never asked with what are our causes, what moves us, what do we want to change in the world. Yes, we were never asked that, but they continued teaching us again to write without being convinced of what we were writing. Again, we were taught to listen without being convinced of what we were listening to and without questioning it. And we were never taught to yell convinced, to yell fighting. We were taught history, but not how to make history. Didn't you feel the same thing? Yes, I did. My teammates, my schoolmates, the people from other schools, and I wonder how you think about this. But what do? We were taught, and to find the answer to what do we do now, it's not just to imagine it. We have to think about how can we have a little bit of participation. I'm thinking about the classroom. I imagine the classroom as a political territory, because it doesn't matter if we're talking about cell phones, about energy, if you're talking about the Patagonian geography, about molecules, about the May Revolution. It doesn't matter what is the topic, but the classroom is still a political territory, because for us, in our backpacks, we still bring the chaotic world that surrounds us. And with each backpack, there is our instincts as well. We bring also our neighborhoods, our houses, and our fears. We also bring the labels that were imposed on us, and the ones that we are sick of, the ones that we got rid of. We bring our abuses, our injustices, and what we see in the streets while we walk. But we also have the willingness to change the world, to do something. Yes, especially the willingness to be agents of change. But we don't have that ability. We don't have the ability of advocating for a neighborhood, to affect our neighborhood, to change reality. We feel that we don't have the tools. Did you hear about a tool that is specialized on that? Is there a subject that will teach us how to ask for justice? We were never taught how to create a campaign to ask for justice. We were never taught how to make a support network. We were never taught how to draft a bill to contribute or a project to contribute in our neighborhood. And we were never taught that there are other ways to make problems visible. And those things that we think can be visualized like possible proposals. And since I'm standing here in front of you, I'm here to ask for a solution, and I'm not doing it every day with my classmates and when I can. With my classmates and when I can, because it's at that moment where we have every change, because we learned amongst ourselves with our classmates, in our hallways, in our free time, in our breaks. We learned it in those existential talks that we have amongst ourselves when we think about changing the world. And even though we have this inside our schools, this never happens with a teacher in front of us. And most of the things we learned about them outside of schools. Isn't that ironic? What if all of that was a subject? If learning how to project our potential was part of our schools, would you study it? Let's imagine if we had a subject in the secondary, in high schools, in Argentina, in Córdoba. Let's imagine that it's called Social Innovation Project. Do you like that? Okay, so let's imagine what are students doing? They won't only see which are the problems of the society. We know, we walk the streets, we are almost adults, we understand what's going on in society. So what do we want to do? We don't only want to see what are the problems, we want to create a project, we want to be part of the positive impact. Yes, this would be structured with 5 units. First with the social problematic that creates discomfort that we want to change. And after identifying this problem that moves us, we're going to research it in our neighborhood, in our environment, in our territory. Because we consider that change, the world change, starts in our homes. Then we would design a proposal because we believe that with the help of our teachers we can create very innovative ideas. And then we would manage and communicate that answer, because that's not just going to be an idea that we had when we were young, when we were in high school. No, that's going to be part of the help of the transformation and the positive impact in our communities. And finally, we would evaluate the impact and the learning, because by understanding the reach, the scope of each of the programs, we would verify the actions for our future. And with this proposal, the classroom is no longer a political territory, it becomes a social laboratory. Teaching becomes into a way the youths finally learn their potential to transform. And finally, our community gets better. We started a pilot test in a public school, trying to integrate this project as an optional space, a complementary workshop, with a training, with active methodologies, and a situated approach. After proposing this project, we had to dream. What's left is to dream that this is taken to more institutions, that this project becomes culture, identity, so that this project, if you want to teach, that the educational system may recognize that youths don't need permission to change the world. And for this to be clear, this is not just a class, this is a way of understanding education as a tool for democracy, a democracy that is exercised every day, and it's our democracy, a young democracy, a democracy that has a future. Thank you very much. Okay, a big round of applause for them. Excellent job. Now we're going to move forward. Let's thank all of the advisors that were up on stage. Okay. This is beautiful. Let's continue. We have one more school, 2 schools. Please stay around here. Stick around. This belongs to my teammate. She already has one. Okay. Okay. Now how do we continue after that?
Good morning. I'm Luna Nicole Fonseca Veas of Garcia Farm School. Our card was the World Cup celebrations of 2022. We go to a more emotional sphere, something that commemorates in Argentina, something that represents every Argentinian out there, and that creates a sense of belonging, winning the World Cup, an event that everyone in a way felt involved with. We represented the soccer team and all of these feelings. So the card says, after the winning the World Cup in Qatar 2022 over France and gaining the 3rd World Cup, millions of fans occupied the streets in every part of the world to celebrate for this win. On December the 20th, the players did the Olympic round. This is something that makes us feel part, right? Being Argentinian people. So I consider that this was a very emotional time for the entire population. So we'll introduce the project. Now the advisors come to the stage. Well, I introduced myself already, but she's Victoria Medrano, Abril Peñalosa, and Manela Frickenstein. A round of applause for them. We are sixth-year students of Economics Orientation School, and within political life subject, we talked about democracy in schools, and we did a scientific poster. Now we would like to explain why we chose this topic. We based the research that we want to do on how the youth participates in our school, in particular, because we have some spaces that promote this, and from different standpoints, from the perspectives of the students and of the director. We chose the school because we think that it is a space that trains us to be citizens, to be voters, to know what democracy means. So within our project, we wanted to have some goals. First of all, for students to know the rights and how to exercise them at school, and encourage them to participate, to have critical thinking, to reach consensus with teammates, and reach agreements as well. And a core part of this is for teachers to be trained and come to the classroom with proposals so we can work on democracy to better understand it. Well, the hypothesis was the following. What are we basing all of this project on? We are part of an NGO that focuses on social assistance. We have the center, the student center as well. And we also have participation in voting, in elections. That last year we did that, but we didn't do it this year. The hypothesis is that we think that based on our experience on our college provides us with a lot of spaces where we can actually exercise democracy. And that's why we ask ourselves whether students actually know that they have spaces where they can actually participate. And we solved these questions with some answers that were the following. Lack of knowledge. As students, we were focused only on learning or passing a test. But sometimes we don't want to open that. We don't give ourselves the opportunity to know the other opportunities brought by the school. As we don't know that, sometimes we need interest in being able to participate and create and grow as citizens. And lack of motivation as well, right? A lot of schools were talking about the opportunity of studying. There are a lot of young people who cannot do that for several reasons. So we conducted some surveys. So in the surveys, what we did was to choose approximately one student of each of the cycles, the basic one and the one with orientation. And we asked some questions, multiple choice questions, and some others to develop open questions. The ones that we chose here was, do you think that the school provides for participation spaces? Fortunately, most of them voted yes. And then, taking into account that result, we asked, which spaces do you think you have more freedom to participate? They chose classroom and these type of spaces of the school. So we asked them how you could improve the situation in our school, in the city of Córdoba, in the country. We had some answers. Male will tell us a little bit more about this. We asked these questions to the director too. So we had both perspectives. He was very positive in his answers, but we interviewed our director, this Marcelo Villarroel, and he told us that our school wants for students to be able to participate in most of the activities available. He does not want to be seen as a person no one can go and talk to, that is there only to reprimand people. He wants every student from the basic cycle or the cycle with orientation to be able to reach him. In this interview, he said that, and we came with a proposal that came out from the surveys, that is a box for opinions, for students to give their opinions on different topics, for example, of the school, of the classroom, of teachers, and also to make proposals to be able to improve this situation. And as a conclusion, we found that integration of knowledge regarding democracy, participation, is essential for schools, regardless of the year, the division, the school. That is not relevant when we address our growth as people in society. We need to know what are the laws that support us. We need to know our rights. And as we found out, we have 3 laws or acts that support education. One is the 26,206, the one 26,877 for the creation and functioning of student centers. As my peers mentioned, it is a curricular space that is very important when we talk about democracy, because this is where students can actually express their opinions, their lack of conformity.
O cosas que simplemente no les parecen.
And then we have Act number 9870 that applies to the creation of the school education, but in the province of Córdoba. We need to integrate the knowledge on democracy for every student in every school, regardless of which grade or year they are in. Thank you so much. We can be here now. So, to close this space, I want to say that sometimes we hear that the youth are lost. They don't know what they want. And I think that what we saw today was the contrary to those ideas that we listen to. We are with a lot of people with a lot of specific actions, with meaningful conversations. They wanted to participate. They are very sure of what they want to achieve. And I want to thank all of these people who are here to teach us, actually, as adults, to change the world, to propose new ideas, to transform, to bet on what you think, and to be filled with hope. I was about to cry in several moments. Sometimes we feel that there is no future, and we think of potential futures. Well, I'm filled with hope when I listen to you. Thank you so much. We're over time, but I would like to say that I'm so proud of being able to listen to you all. We could be here for hours and hours, but you could provide us with your ideas in an excellent way, how you want to change things, and that was awesome. I think that the debates of the future are the dreams of the present, so thank you so much for being here, for listening to them. They are the protagonists, not of the future, but of the present. Thank you so much.
Muchísimas gracias.
I would like to thank the students of schools who were here for giving us their great energy. A great round of applause for you.
Es un gusto poder compartir.
It was an honor being able to share with you. this space, and of course the teachers who came here with their students. I would also like to thank you for waiting. We are a little bit behind schedule, but thank you so much for being here. And for the kids of San Antonio who are inviting us, is the party tonight? No, in the afternoon, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. I think that will continue later, right? We're organizing the stage. Up next, we will continue with the following topic: participation of young people in democracy. They told me that they are here, so I call them to the stage. Agustín Llena, Director of Solidarity Policies of the Province of Buenos Aires. Agustín Llena. With this round of applause, we receive them. Welcome, Agustín. Now we invite Juan Carlos Concha, Director of Citizen Participation of Viña del Mar, Chile. Welcome. Thank you for participating. I'd also like to call José Ignacio Scotto, President of Córdoba Joven Agency, or Agency for the Youth of Córdoba. Now Dominique Woodrow, Advisor in Transfer in Société de Canada. And Toria Bouchard-Coté, President of the Youth Council of Verdun, Montreal, Canada. Moderation of this space will be in charge of Juan Pedro Bataglino, General Director of Participatory Budget of Córdoba. Juan Arancibia, General Director of the Youth of Córdoba. Juan on the stage. Thank you. So we'll continue. Juan Pedro Bataglino will be in charge of moderating this space, and the title is Participation of Youth in Democracy. We have had a very intense and important morning. We would like to thank you for the effort that you put. You have made great, amazing presentations, and I would like to thank my school, Garcia Ford. I'm part of the alumni that was the last one to make their presentation. Thank you so much, girls. So, José Ignacio, President of Córdoba Joven Agency. What do you think? Good morning, everyone. I'm truly happy of being able to participate. Thank you, Juan. Thank you. I would like to thank the entire team for the invitation. The truth is that these events come to... I will stand up. This will be easier for me. It reaffirms what they mentioned before, right? That sometimes in times of a lot of apathy, at least here in Argentina, a lot of lack of trust regarding the youth, we can see that is actually the opposite. We can see that the youth in Córdoba, in Argentina, have ideas, they want to participate, and we need to have them the opportunity and the possibility to do that. From Córdoba, from the city of Córdoba, from the province of Córdoba, the goal is always improve these youth participation spaces so that each and every one of you who are here and every young person of the city and of municipalities and communes and towns of the interior part of our country can be protagonists of local society, of local situations. As the schools mentioned, they want to be agents for transformation of their own realities, because otherwise, I mean, we should not be just bystanders. I want to tell each and every one of the young people to be protagonists. You need to write your own story of your school, of your club, of the institutions that you go to. You need to be part of that story and to build on it. That idea of having a cause, a reason, that was very important. Pepe Mujica and people from Uruguay said something about that, living with a cause, right? For a reason. So we need to fight for what we believe in. We need to fight to be able to transform the reality through that cause that we have in mind. I think that a cause or a reason allows us to be happy. I don't know if happiness is actually in having a more beautiful park, for example. I think that that has to do with the well-being of citizens, of course. But the actual meaning of happiness is in having a cause, a reason, on doing what we really feel like doing, what moves us to change this situation we live in. These spaces improve these opportunities. And why do we have these ideas, these goals, these projects? To improve ourselves, and we need a lot of commitment. Einstein would say that there is a motor drive that is more important than vapor, than electricity, than atomic energy, and that is willingness. Without willingness, you don't have a cause. Without willingness, you don't have a transformation. Without willingness, there is no change. And I take this opportunity to pose the question related to change, right? At least for us, from our positions, change is far away from being a slogan or an empty word. We are truly convinced that change is what we do every day with each of the actions that we take. That is the true change. So, from here, Juan and the other speakers at the panel, I see a lot of young people who are part of the provincial and municipal administration, Nahuel, Leo, a lot of them. All of them are transformative agents, agents of change. So we invite every young person to come closer so that we can work together, so that each of those ideas or projects that you have can be turned into actions. We're here to help you, to support you, to add what we can to be able to improve that change, to go deeper in the transformation, to make your projects and ideas and dreams come true. A long time ago, a great woman we had in Argentina said that young people must be invincible, but not from the perspective of violence, but from the perspective of love towards the people and the citizens. And we need to improve the reality we live in. Young people must be invincible from love and not from violence, not from damage in times when Argentina seems to go deeper into this gap that we have between us. In Argentina, some people think that the youth are only to be behind a computer writing on Twitter. But now here from Córdoba, you can actually see that the youth have projects, have ideas to transform the reality they live in, that the youth want to be actual agents of change, that the youth want to be protagonists, that the youth want to change the reality they live in. So, if you don't like the president of the student center, you can work and try to change them. If you don't like the president of the community center, you have to work hard and change that administration. You have to be protagonists. From this space, we will support you so that you can be protagonists and agents for change. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jose Ignacio. I know that some of us have the translation. We're here with the speakers of Canada. So maybe in English they can participate.
Voy a empezar por muchas gracias a todos.
Thank you, both of you. I had speak a little bit of Spanish, but French is my first language. I'm going to talk in English for the rest of this presentation. Thank you to Córdoba and the IODPD. And
Sorry, French. Let's do this in English. Participation of young people in democracy is really important, and I feel like we have a good example of that in Montreal, Quebec. I am the president of a small council for young people, and we are elected by the members of our community. And this is a safe place for all of us to make decisions directly inside our municipality, which is a small county within the city of Montreal. And I'm glad to be here today because I get to speak to young people in the audience as well. Hello to you all. I've heard your presentation before. It was exquisite. I'm glad to see that you guys are active and taking this really good. I've seen really good projects, so I'm glad to see you there as well. So I am a young people, like I am a young woman. I am only 22 years old, and what you can do is you will do it, and it's important for you to get started right now because that is how you make change. And I firmly believe that the change, for you to have change and the change that you want, it starts where you reside. It starts where you live. It starts among your friends, among your family as well. So small changes can get really, really big in time. So I'm really glad you guys have that space. I feel like you are really, really well surrounded. I feel like you guys are listened to, and this is what is really important within a real democracy. And I feel very, very inspired, not only as a woman, but also as a young people here. And I get to hear all of your ideas. It's really, really inspiring. So thank you very much for that. And I think that's almost it. But I think I want to finish on something that still is important to me is mind you that we don't want to be listened at because we are young. We don't want to be listened at because I am a woman or because I'm only 22 years old. I want to be listened at because my ideas are great, because I can make changes, and it's really important. It's important that you accept that, yes, you may have a privilege among you guys, but it's not that privilege that gives you necessarily a voice. It's the fact that you have great ideas that can be, and they can be put there and they can be put to work. And it's really important for you guys to remember that as well, because it's not because you are young that you get to be listened at. You can be listened everywhere, and you have a voice, and that matters too. So I want to finish on that note. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tori. Let's go on with Dominic.
Truly inspiring and amazing, but yeah, I totally agree with you. And one thing I was thinking, listening to you earlier and listening to Tori, is like maybe for the municipalities and all the government officials that are here, listening to that, you know, you have to remind the importance of like having this discussion with the young community to make these change into our democracy or into like local projects. So yeah, your involvement is really important, but on the part of the municipality, this dialogue is also must be put in place to be sure that you're heard, that you are part of this democracy.
Querido
Dear Juan Carlos from Viña del Mar, Chile, a few words. Thank you. I'm going to stand up too. Well, I want to say hello. My name is Juan Carlos Concha. I want to thank everyone here, and I want to share a reflection from the country I come from and the city I'm from. I'm from Viña del Mar. This is a tourist city in the center of Chile. And the president is 36 years old in Chile. You will say, okay, this is the generational gap. You probably don't think that's young, but that's young. The governor is 32 years old. And my generation, I'm 35. And my generation has been the protagonist of many changes in my country that have started in 2006. I'm going to be very brief. In 2006, when I was at school, we had the Penguin Revolution that wanted to change a law, the general education law. We took schools, we took over schools, we were mobilizing politically since we were 13, 14. That generation went into college. And in 2011, we went into the university, the largest university revolt since the return of democracy, to try to reach free education. In my country, education is not public, it's not free. It's an interesting system. And this generation came into 2019 with the popular revolt, the largest popular revolt in Chile, a social blowout in which the youth were the protagonists. They mobilized generations that had been asleep since the dictatorship because they were afraid of going to the streets to demand for what they wanted, what they needed. And the secondary schools jumped over blockades, demanding constitutional change. That, in spite of the result, that left us with the result that, as Salvador Allende said, being young and not being a revolutionary is a biological contradiction. And I want to tell you that don't stop questioning that our countries need change. Let's not settle for what we have. We have a role which is very important in taking care of our democracy. And I see students from the schools, from the universities, political actors that work in public service and have a role, a very important role, to open the doors of public institutionality so that youth like you have the protagonism that we deserve, not only in developing the local policies of our cities, but also in the way that our voice reaches the center of the state and we can do profound changes that impact the generations to come. So I hope that this country at some point has a young president to explain how is politics going to be carried out in Argentina. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juan Carlos. Friend Agustin from the province of Buenos Aires, the floor is yours. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank we are friends, we are colleagues, but I want to thank the young people who were before us on stage. And what I wanted to bring here to the table was the following. When I read Participation of Youth in Democracy and that we were being invited to talk about participatory democracy, I felt this was very crazy, right? Talking about participatory democracy, because when we talk about democracy, we think of a form of government that has the people, the community, as a goal for the policies. We think of policies, we execute policies with the people as final users, but that has a material dimension. We need schools, we need hospitals, but as my partner said, we need to have a more human development and people development perspective. So which type of democracy are we building if we don't have the political participation of society as a cross-sectional pillar? If we are administrators of public policies. For example, I work at the government. And before I didn't work for the government, and I had a different perspective on the policies for the youth. There's a problem, we will fix this with a program. Let's think of a program, let's think of a specific project. And I was always thinking or wondering, why don't we listen to them? Tell us what the problems are. A few weeks ago, Pope Francis died, and he created a great legacy. And there's something related to youth participation. He went to Brazil, actually, to the international gathering for the youth. Oh, well, sorry for this interruption. We came from the doctrine, the theory, the truth, and for 12 years we had a pope who said, you have to doubt, you have to listen to the other people. Before convening people to transform, you need to listen to what we have to transform, because otherwise that call will be, I don't know, useless. And why the youth? This is evident, is the more dynamic sector. We as public officers, the best thing that we can do is convene the youth, right? They have the willingness to transform realities. I've participated in the student center at my school. I participated in kitchen soups, and as one colleague mentioned, in those things we can actually change reality. So it really caught my attention when I listened to, okay, how can we convene the youth? The youth are every day in TikTok, in social media, and we saw a different reality, right? We think it is the other way around. The society changed, the youth noticed that, and politicians didn't. So that is the great challenge. It is not only in changing on how to convene the youth. It is not a problem of the youth. It is something that invites all of us to participate. So Pope mentioned this from religion. We will talk about from the policies. We need to have policies on active listening. We need to listen, first of all, to the youth. And sometimes we come to spaces where we give the answers to problems, but we need to create answers all together. And as the Pope said, you have to make a mess. And he mentioned that we needed to have to take action, to have active listening. We don't have the privilege of We don't need to have a privilege of being listened to just because we are young or we are part of a sector. We need to be listened to because our ideas are great, because we have something to contribute. And there is a dimension that politicians sometimes forget in listening, but we need to turn that into action as well. When the Pope said, make a mess, what he was saying was this. You have to make mistakes, of course, everyone will make mistakes. But you have to do things, you have to do stuff. In church, he said, let's go out to the field. Don't be here comfortable at church. You have to go to the field, see what the people need. We need to doubt, we need to listen to the other people. We need to transform that into actions. As the president of the commune mentioned, if we don't like the president of a specific center, okay, let's work on how we can change that. We shouldn't only be complaining. We need to be part. We need to participate. So from our administration and what we are trying to do, I would like to say that we need to listen to the youth. We need to listen more. We need to promote actions. We shouldn't be an obstacle, because our main task is not administering or managing resources, allocating resources. We need to promote participation, political and citizen participation of the entire society, and particularly of this dynamic group. They feel they are not listened to, and maybe that's because it's true. So thank you so much, Pedro. Thank you, Agustin.
Bueno, Juan.
Okay, Juan, we'll give our final words as well to complete this panel. We would like to really thank you, all of these young people who came here. We went to several schools. We were listening to you, to your ideas. Jose mentioned this before. There were some schools that said, well, we don't have the courage of going to the student center or run for the student center.
Para ponerme a analizar esto, pero
I'm not a sociologist here to analyze this situation, but TikTok as a concept where everything has to go fast, these constructions take time, okay? And making mistakes also takes time, and you have to be patient enough. You have to have dreams and move forward. That is the message we want to convey. It was very nice being able to work with you in this context of this mega conference, this international conference, where we have participants from the 5 continents, actually, and to be able to have you here, to have the voice of the youth of Córdoba here. Thank you so much. And Juan, your words. Thank you, Juan Pedro, my friend, my colleague. I will stand up. I would like to thank the entire organization as well. These 3 days have been very fruitful, sharing experiences with the youth from different countries, from the entire country here, all throughout Argentina. I want to thank you because we have been working a lot on schools, having discussions, building stuff, and I'm very, very proud of that. In Argentina, I think that we're living a social crisis. The social fabric is sort of broken, maybe due to economic reasons. And in that sense, I see 2 types of young people. Those who are unemployed, those who see the lack of opportunities, and those who don't believe in public institutions. The youth do not believe in politicians, in politics. And on the other hand, I see some other group of young people. I see youth of a lot of resilience who are creative, innovators, and that are doing an awesome job in their territories, their schools. So I pose this question for my position and for all of you, actually. What can we do to make these two groups of young people come closer and have the same goal ahead in our country? In the city of Córdoba specifically, we have spaces to be heard, we have spaces to create programs, but listening to you first. We have the youth participatory budget that is called PPJ. It was voted by a municipal ordinance where all of the council people voted for that, and it is a budget or money that is given to you, the youth, that is 7 million pesos this year. That is a project with social impact, and we can work on this from the environmental perspective, the sports perspective. And I think that this is a true tool where you can create the project. We support you to carry out the project, and we can have interventions at school, in the parks, in the church, or wherever you decide to do so. I want to say that we as young people have some obstacles that we don't see them sometimes, but they are there. Maybe economic obstacles, digital obstacles. But I think that we mainly have this political obstacle or barrier. Sometimes the system or institutions are created by adults. So the system is not involving the youth because they speak a different language. They make decisions from their desks and do not go to the field. And that's where our opportunity lies. In Córdoba, we have spaces for the youth. We have young nodes or youth nodes that are in the community centers, community participation centers of Córdoba, and we invite you to be part of them. Last year they were created, and this year we will provide them with tools, with programs, and we want to do that with you. I want to tell you about an intervention that we did when I was director of a participatory community center. This was landfill. And this is how we could recover this space. But how did we do this? We went there, we listened to the people of the area with the youth of the neighbor. This is San Vicente neighborhood, Müller. And nowadays we have this. But this was part of active listening, of being present, and that is key. We have the other picture, I think. Here, this is a soccer field that 9 years ago, I was, back then I was the president of this community center. And Franco was a boy from this territory. They wanted to create a soccer field there. We didn't ask for any help. We just got together as the neighborhood center, and 9 years after that, these kids are now parents and their kids are in that field. And we do that with our friends, right? Franco said, nowadays, 10 years after this, I see our children playing on that field, and I understand that what we built was not only a space, but was community. We built future, and that is what we need. We, as political leaders, as public officers, we need to interpret what you are asking for or what the youth needs and requires. I don't want to take up more time. I just would like to say that when a young person participates, politics change. And that is the way forward. I invite you from the youth direction of the municipality for this to be the starting point to keep on working during the entire year and the following years. Thank you so much. Thank you, Juan, for visiting us from far away. Sebastián? another round of applause for the speakers of this panel. Thank you so much. Agustín from Buenos Aires, Juan Carlos, Chile, José Ignacio of Córdoba Joven Agency, Dominique from Canada, Torie, Canada as well, and Juan Pedro Bataglino, who was the moderator of this space. Now, let's take a picture on the stage, and maybe you can also go up to the stage so that you can show the entire audience that we had here. I would like to thank the different schools, San Buenaventura, Nuestra Señora del Valle, San Antonio de Padua, Antonio María, Alejandro Carbó, Garcia Ford, and all of the schools that we had today. We remind you that all of the sessions of this event can be watched again on internet, entering the YouTube site OIDP 2025. Of course, we will value all of the comments that you can share. So we will meet again here at 2 p.m. Thank you so much. Now we'll continue with the 24th conference of the International Observatory of Participatory Democracy.
Les recordamos a todos devolver los equipos de audición de traducción.
Sí. Y, a. Y. Y. Hola, sí. Y. Oh, hola, sí. Y. 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 Oh, claro. Y. Y. El 1. Y. 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 4. Y. 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 A. Hola, sí. Y. Y. A. Hola, sí. 3. Y. Ey, ey. Ey, A. Ey, A. Ey, A.
y O.
Sí. Hola, sí. Sí. A.
Damas y caballeros, muchísimas
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here with us. Now we'll share a brief and symbolic closing ceremony. Good afternoon. Have a great afternoon. We've reached the end of this 24th conference of the International Observatory of Participatory Democracy. Córdoba 2025. We have shared 3 amazing days of debates and workshops on interesting topics for our cities and, of course, for our people. Up next, we'll invite Ana Maria Rodriguez, representative of the co-presidency of IOPD of Valongo, Portugal. Well, what can we say by the end of these 3 days of intense work, right? At the end of this inspiring conference, we will leave this place more motivated and enriched and with a greater responsibility. That is of working hard on our territories, of motivating our people. We live with a great challenge, of course, ahead. We want to have a fairer future and a more solidary future. I really wish that you have a safe trip home, and we will see each other in Krakow for sure next year. Thank you so much. Now, for the closing ceremony, we will listen to Adria Duarte, head of the Secretary of IOPD and also of the World Organization of Local United Governments. Thank you so much. Wednesday morning, when we started, I started with a special thank you for Córdoba for the entire work. And now I would also like to start with that by thanking University of Córdoba, Mayor Pasarini, Secretary Viola, Juan Pedro Bataglino, and all of the colleagues of the municipality. From the first to the last one, the translators, of course, a great round of applause for all of the interpreters, the technical teams, all of the colleagues that were assisting us, my team, of course, they have done a great job, my colleagues from Barcelona, and a special thank you to all of you, because I really think that, as Ana Maria said, it has been a very inspiring event. You cannot go to all of the meetings, but all of the ones that I could attend to were amazing. Everyone says that they have learned a lot, that all of the sessions have been very useful, all of the dialogues, all of the workshops, exchange of ideas. So that's what's important, right? An event of such as this has to be inspiring and has to be useful to continue motivated to do our jobs. We know that we are living complex times, but it is important to take a couple of days of getting inspired and motivated with all of these people so we could really achieve that. So congratulations, Córdoba, for this amazing conference. Those of you who come from Córdoba, those of you who come from different parts of Argentina, from other countries, thank you all, because you are the conference. You are IOPD. This is the spirit for democracy, for rights, for participation of men and women to have a better world. These people want for their neighborhoods to be better, for their cities to be better. So thank you so much. And okay, let's move forward. We need to keep on working and defending our rights, defending the communities and fairer territories. So we'll continue to work with all of you, and from the IOPD, we're very thankful and available to keep on building territories, cities, and a better world. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Adriana Duarte. Up next, we're going to listen to the words of Juan Domingo Viola, the Secretary of Citizen Participation and Youth from the city of Córdoba. Okay, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to. I don't want to hear any jokes, please. This is a closing moment. We start making a balance. We start checking the balance sheet of this event. And when a few years ago we joined the IOPD, we applied as Córdoba to become the venue. We were in the city of Rio de Janeiro, and we continued insisting on this. And I wanted to thank the cities that have applied, that have submitted their presentations to be the venue, to continue in this road of participation. And especially to the countries in Latin America that have so much participation. I want to thank the citizens of the world to have come to these parts of the world, to these latitudes. I'm going to thank our team, not as the boss of the team, but as a citizen of Córdoba, because I'm also an elected councilman, so I can speak for my neighbors. Thank you in the name of the neighbors of the citizens of Córdoba. Thank you for putting the city in a high place to live in this, showing the best of our city, showing that our city can open its arms and receive you, can open its arms and can open, we can open our minds to fill it with the ideas that come from our visitors. Of course, we want to continue being the lighthouse. That is an important task to promote, to communicate, to make this something that we all love, that we all want, that this government wants, that the ruled want to participate. This is a task done by citizens, and we need to stimulate and promote participation. We need to open these governments so that others, the ones we are governing for, can join the public sphere. That's a great task. So, in a way, we need to generate willingness, the want to do these things and to believe in these things. You cannot create participation without thinking that what we produce with participation is not going to be better. So it's a great honor for us to organize this. We knew that we had a huge task and we wanted to face it like we do it in Córdoba. The first words that you heard when this conference was opened was, we were born out of being rebels. And some things were said here that maybe we didn't like, that we need to turn around the tax distribution in Argentina, that us who have equity and tax federalism, where we generate the services. And in Córdoba's flagship is being a rebel. Our founder was killed for disobeying. And this city was the result of that disobedience. So let's keep screaming, let's keep being rebels, let's keep creating things that are not seen at that moment, but in time they have effects. Let's continue having our people participate, let's keep creating, participating, making the effort, having the will, and sustaining the idea that with more voices, with more arms, with more people going out of their homes and committing to the public sphere, we're going to have more ideas. And the Pope Francis said, no one is going to save themselves on their own. So in this city where he worked, where he said those things, this needs to be a place where those ideas irradiate to the world. So thank you, and it's been a great pride and a great honor.
Así hemos escuchado la...
We have heard the words of Juan Domingo Viola in representation of the presidency of the IOPD on behalf of the mayor of Córdoba, Dr. Daniel Pacerini. Now we're going to listen to Sebastian Kowalski in representation of the future presidency of the IOPD from Krakow, Poland, 2026.
I stand up too, please. Thank you very much for the organizers, for the invitation, and all of you for the valuable, inspiring conversation. And I invite you already today to Krakow next year. We will everything, including miracles, if necessary, to match the professionalism of the Córdoba city team. And today I promise all of you any vote, any idea, and any opinion as matter in Krakow conference. As Poland, we are hospitality and open as you, Argentinians, and that is what united us. For that, I thank you. May I ask everyone for a moment of the attention, as have a greeting strange from Krakow and some message from Krakow too. Another one, movie please.
Szanowni Państwo, nazywam się Łukasz Sęk i jestem zastępcą prezydenta miasta Krakowa. Chciałbym w imieniu wszystkich krakowian podziękować organizatorom tegorocznej konferencji EOPD w Kordobie za zaproszenie nas do dyskusji o demokracji. W Krakowie wierzymy, że dobre miasto da się budować tylko wspólnie z mieszkańcami. Dlatego konsultacje społeczne, budżet obywatelski, inicjatywa lokalna czy otwarte przestrzenie dialogu to fundamenty naszej codziennej pracy. Dlatego z wielką przyjemnością zapraszam wszystkich Państwa w 2026 roku właśnie do Krakowa na 25. edycję Międzynarodowej Konferencji EOPD. Będzie to niezwykła okazja do wymiany doświadczeń, do rozmowy o partycypacji, o dialogu, do uzyskania cennych wniosków, które pozwolą rozwijać i budować partycypację na całym świecie. Kraków to miasto otwarte, zielone, pełne niezwykłej historii, ale też pełne inspiracji i innowacji. Wspólnie możemy budować miasta sprawiedliwe, dostępne i włączające. O tym będziemy właśnie rozmawiać w przyszłym roku w Krakowie. Serdecznie wszystkich Państwa zapraszam.
Damas y caballeros, yo no dispado de ti nos vemos en Krakow. Muchas gracias.
We have heard Sebastian Kowalski on behalf of the presidency of Krakow, Poland, 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, before the final words, we tell you that the day after tomorrow in the Argentine Republic, we celebrate the day of our homeland, 25th of May. For those who will stay in Córdoba and in our country, I hope you have a great day this Sunday, and for everyone, have a great return. The 25th International Conference of the International Observatory of Participatory Democracy will be done in the city of Krakow, Poland. That's why we expect you virtually or on-site on the 21st, 22nd and 23rd of September 2026 in the city of Krakow, Poland. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the city of Córdoba.
Invitamos a las autoridades si quieren subir al escenario para realizar la foto institucional. Muchas gracias. Autoridades y representantes que estén aquí en la sala presentes.
The authorities and representatives here in this room, please join us on stage for an institutional picture, photograph to end this wonderful encounter. Thank you very much. And I would ask the people in the tech to replay the Krakow video.
Ya está, listo. Bueno, en el mientras tanto, invitamos a la...
In the meantime, we invite the authorities and the audience, the members of the audience that want to participate in this final picture, this final photograph. The access is through the stairs.
Zaproszenie nas do dyskusji o demokracji. W Krakowie wierzymy, że dobre miasto da się budować tylko wspólnie z mieszkańcami. Dlatego konsultacje społeczne, budżet obywatelski, inicjatywa lokalna czy otwarte przestrzenie dialogu.
Están invitando a Brasil, que no puede faltar en la foto. Bien. Senegal, Barcelona, Grecia, Cascais, de Portugal, Viña del Mar. A ver, ¿dónde está Viña del Mar? Chile.